Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Michelle, as well. Good morning, everyone. So, like Bill mentioned, my name is Andrew McMath. I'm with a company called InsideDesk. Not going to talk too much about what we do specifically, because you can talk to us afterwards, but really what I want to talk to you about is RCM, right? So, first question everyone has, I know, what is RCM? Great first question. And it stands for Revenue Cycle Management. If that wasn't your first question, then I need to get a refund on my mind reading masterclass, but we'll talk about that later. So obviously RCM, right? It's kind of become this hot buzzword topic, but in reality, it's only really started to gain traction over the last 18 months, maybe 3 years, right? Where DSOs, where dental groups, even individual offices and GPs are dedicating personnel to RCM, right? You have your billers, you have your agers. There are obviously processes in place that have to exist, but really focusing back in on revenue cycle as an important part of the industry and as an important part of the business. So traditionally, and I think historically, we think about revenue in two portions, right? The first one is going to be with marketing, right? How do we get more money into the business? And with marketing, there's definitely a place for it. There's definitely a need for it. And the thought is, if I can bring in more new patients, I will make more money, right? The other side of it is going to be production. If we can perform more treatment, if I can do more procedures, again, I will make more money. But let's take a quick look at both of those perspectives from as it pertains to revenue specifically, right? So if we're looking at marketing and we're talking about how do we increase revenue, we're looking at things like ad cost. We're looking at cost per acquisition. Amal and some other people were talking about it earlier. We're looking at things like digital versus paper, right? Where do I want to get the most bang for my buck? Is it through mailers? Is it through Facebook ads? Is it through Instagram? Whatever it may be. And then there's obviously grassroots versus digital, right? Grassroots versus, am I going to create my own content, or am I going to go with the word of mouth and referral side of things, right? You have technology to track all of these different types of marketing strategies, whatever you're going to use, and it's probably going to be a little bit of everything to a degree. But you're investing in technology to, is this actually effective, right? Am I getting the most bang for my buck? Quick question for everyone is, in any of those points I just made, right, with this investment into marketing, have you actually increased your revenue? Have you made more money, put money into your account? No, right? No, the answer is no. You haven't actually added money. You are spending money. You're investing in this marketing. Now let's look at production, right? In terms of how do we increase revenue with production? It's through things like strategies and seminars on how do we present our treatment plans to increase case acceptance. It's, hey, we got to add additional associates. Hey, we got to increase our space, add more chairs, right? Because if we can see more patients, we can make more money. We can increase our revenue. Ophir was talking about it earlier, but obviously there's technology that offices are investing in that help with the actual diagnosis of treatment, right? Finding things that maybe the dentists themselves wouldn't have found on their own. Again, all things that are going to help, in theory, to increase production. But whether you're adding additional associates, whether you're increasing your case acceptance, right? Or whether you are actually performing the work, have you increased your revenue after you have set the crown, after you have come by and check on your patient after they're cleaning? When they get up, in that moment, have you increased your revenue? The answer is no, right? Because marketing is the dream. It's the hope that someday someone will see your ad, they will call your office, fingers crossed, they're going to actually show up for their appointment, right? And actually sit in your chair, which rolls into production, which is the work, right? Production is the time, effort, and energy that your doctors, your hygienists, your team puts into performing whatever treatment is needed, right? So I believe that there is a third piece to this conversation, right, in terms of revenue. And that piece is revenue cycle management, right? More importantly, I think that revenue cycle management, RCM, is revenue. This is the actual process of you collecting on those dollars that were owed, right? It is the actual process of going through, and whether it's patient balances or settling up and getting payment from the insurance companies, it is that actual process. That is revenue cycle management, and RCM is ultimately revenue. So the thing with RCM is that it is pretty, all-encompassing, right? If we look up on the screen, it starts at the very beginning. It's entering of information into the PMS, your fee schedules. It is the pre-authorization and verification of insurance. It is the collection of dollars that are actually owed. It's the receiving of payments from the insurance companies. And RCM is the end destination of everything before it, right? It is the realization of all the work and production you put in, and is the ROI on your marketing investment. The thing with RCM is what it's not. Today it is not fun, it is not simple, and it is not easy, right? Nobody makes it easy. The insurance companies don't make it easy. The PMSs don't make it easy to go in and out of working claims or getting information. And the work itself, if anyone does the work, bless you, right? But the work itself is extremely laborious, right? If you are doing verification, you're picking up the phone for the most part today, and you're calling insurance companies patient by patient by patient, procedure by procedure by procedure. If you're involved in claims management or follow-up, you're probably working out of a piece of paper, right? You're printing off an AR report, or if you're real fancy, you're moving that information into an Excel doc. But again, the PMSs don't make it easy. If you're using Denticon, you're printing off PDFs. If you're using Dentrix, it's a text file, then you're moving it into an Excel sheet, then you're deleting columns. And this is even just to get to a starting point of, okay, these are the claims that I need to work. This is the money that I'm owed, and this is where I want my team to focus their time and attention. So it's not a great way to live your lives. It's difficult, and very often we push it to the side, we ignore it, right? Now I will say some of us are great at it, right? You have processes in place. Your AR is pretty tight. But again, the work is still the same. It's still laborious, and it's usually taking more time than a lot of us have in our days. So our responsibility as companies in technology is just to make things simple, right? We want to improve and innovate where there are inefficiencies that can be improved. We want to simplify where you get your information. We want to consolidate information from multiple PMSs, right? As DSOs are growing, they're needing to become more business-centric, right? And you're acquiring practices that have a number of different things, a Dentrix here, a Denticon there. And consolidating all that information and trying to aggregate that is a pain, and it's almost impossible, right? So giving you, the dental groups, dental offices, DSOs, a better understanding of your workflow, right? And what is your team actually doing? Where are the actual areas of opportunity? Not only who touched a claim last, but what work was ultimately done on it, right? And I would say what most people don't understand about RCM today is how to measure it, right? So most of us use buckets. We use open AR as a bucket. We use AR plus 90 days. We use days in AR or DAR. Patient balances, we use yield. So if you perform treatment and submit a claim and you know that you're owed or expected $100 for that procedure, are you collecting $100 or are you collecting $75 from the insurance company? Do you even have any idea? Most of us today don't, because there's not an easy way to get that information, right? There are great companies out there that help with analytics. Jarvis, Dental Intel, we're all familiar with them, but they really just focus on production numbers. And so you don't or can't get RCM numbers today. It's just very difficult to do so. Obviously, everyone's goals are a little bit different. Some of us want to reduce dirty AR, right? Which is AR that is not only old, but it's taken 2, 3, 4 times to submit. Other groups' goals are to just decrease open AR. I want to decrease my open AR by $500,000. We see it all the time. And most groups have really great processes in place and their AR is in check, but they have goals of growth, right? So the question becomes, how do you keep your AR low while doubling your group size at the same moment? You come to a crossroads pretty quick and the question becomes, I'm either going to have to add people to my organization or I'm going to have to add technology, right? I guess that's where we really come into play, is that technology portion, because as we all know, and many of you have experienced, hiring is difficult today. You've heard it before, we'll continue to hear it moving forward into the future, right? And it's difficult because it's competitive. It's not only about adding people to your team, it's about adding good people to your RCM team, where today the only thing you can tell them during that interview process is, I get to offer you the same thing that you had at your previous job. It's gonna suck, like Amal said, right? It's going to be a process of printing out AR reports. It's gonna be a process of working through Excel sheets, endless hours of United Concordia hold music, because guess what? The portal is down again for the second time this week, right? So it's the same old process over and over again. But let's zoom out for a second and think about, how do we hire other positions in our organizations today? When you're interviewing a new doctor, again, those positions are highly competitive. We talked about it, or they talked about it earlier, that there's that shortage of dentists and just providers in the space. So how do you provide or promote your organization over someone else's? You probably talk about the technology and the innovations that you have in your office. Hey, we've got the best new system to help diagnose caries. We've got the best new operatories. We've got all of this great technology. How do you hire or convince someone to come over from a front office or hygienist standpoint? Hey, we just invested in this really great cloud-based PMS. It's gonna make charting and scheduling super easy, right? So why are we not having those same conversations with our RCM team to be able to offer them those same kinds of solutions and help for their day-to-day? Telling them that they can reduce the amount of portals that they have to visit on a daily basis, the amount of phone calls that they have to make to insurance companies, right? That they can actually be proactive versus reactive in their day-to-day. Enjoyable work becomes productive work, and productive work coupled with actionable insight is how you will increase your revenue. So just a final thought here to leave everybody with. Most groups today are gonna spend about 25% of their budget to help increase production. We talked about some of those things earlier. Adding new associates, providing new equipment and technology, getting cross-trained on implants or Invisalign so we can offer more in-house services. Groups are also going to invest about 10% of their budget into marketing, SEO, PPC. Am I going to be the official mascot or the official dental office of the high school football team, right? How are you going to spend those marketing dollars? And as you can see at the bottom there, most groups are only spending and investing about 1.5% of their budget into RCM, right? So if you've been convinced at all, or maybe even raising your eyebrow a bit more to the idea that RCM is revenue, then ultimately you have to ask yourselves, where are you investing to increase revenue? Right? Are you putting your money in a place, into teams and tools that are ultimately going to help you achieve your goal? Thank you guys so much again. My name is Andrew McMath. If you want to learn more about how InsideDesk is bringing technology into RCM, our table is right there and you can talk to myself or Whitney.